Gardeners are taught from the very beginning that compost is the heart of healthy soil. For years, piling up kitchen scraps and yard waste was seen as the gold standard for enriching garden beds. But here's the truth. Compost alone is no longer enough. In today's world, soils are more depleted, rains are more erratic, and the balance of microbes underground is weaker than it was even a generation ago. Adding compost helps, yes, but it does not automatically restore the living networks of fungi, bacteria, and tiny creatures that plants truly depend on. To rebuild soil that can thrive year after year, you need more than decomposition. You need strategies that actively enrich microbial life. This is where smarter methods come into play, and if you stick with this, you'll see how simple additions to your gardening routine can completely change the way your soil behaves. Fungi are often the missing link in compost-based gardening. Most composts favor bacteria, which thrive on nitrogen-rich scraps, but fungi are the ones capable of breaking down lignin, wood, and tougher plant matter, creating soil that is rich and crumbly rather than compact and muddy. Encouraging fungal life requires different tactics. One forgotten method is layering shredded cardboard or partially rotted sticks at the bottom of compost heaps or directly into garden beds. These carbon-heavy materials become fungal highways where white threads of mycelium weave through, colonizing and stabilizing organic matter. Adding a fungal starter like oats soaked in sour milk or even forest soil sprinkled into beds provides the inoculation fungi need. Another pre-modern trick that is returning to prominence is biochar. Charcoal created from plant matter, when charged with compost tea or liquid fertilizer, becomes a permanent home for microbes. Unlike compost, which breaks down within months or years, biochar can remain in the soil for centuries, providing a refuge where bacteria and fungi can survive through droughts and floods. Adding a layer of biochar beneath compost piles or working it into beds changes the microbial dynamic. Suddenly, microbes have a safe place to multiply and hold nutrients, which means plants access fertility steadily, rather than in bursts. Another smarter approach is to think beyond the compost pile altogether. Instead of waiting for decomposition in a bin, you can grow plants that perform the same function directly in the soil. Legumes like clover, fenugreek, or vetch fix nitrogen, while grasses like rye or oats create massive root systems that feed soil microbes as they break down. When cut down and left as mulch, these plants act as living compost, already inoculated with the microbial partners they need. Compost feeds soil after it is applied. Cover crops feed soil continuously as they grow, creating underground root exudates that energize microbial populations. A practice that has deep roots in both traditional farming and modern regenerative gardening is the use of fermented plant or grain extracts. Simple brews made from comfrey, nettle, or rotting barley release microbial stimulants that can be poured directly into compost or soil. Unlike raw compost tea, which may take weeks to stabilize, these fermented liquids are alive and active, immediately feeding soil organisms. When paired with compost, they prevent stagnation and help ensure that decomposition is not only fast but also balanced. This is especially important in times when weather fluctuates and organic matter risks turning anaerobic. A splash of fermented input wakes up the system and restores balance almost overnight. The reason smarter methods matter today is that the challenges facing gardeners are different than they were 50 years ago. Compost alone might have been enough when soils were less degraded and rainfall more consistent, but modern soils face compaction, chemical residues, and loss of fungal networks. Enriching microbes directly, building fungal systems, and creating stable microbial housing are not luxuries anymore. They are necessities if we want long-term fertility. The exciting part is that these smarter methods are not complicated. They don't require expensive inputs or industrial tools. They are based on simple, often forgotten practices that anyone can bring back into their garden. Compost remains important, but its true power is unlocked when combined with these microbial strategies. Composting will always be the backbone of gardening, but it's no longer enough on its own. To truly rebuild soil that is resilient, self-sustaining, and alive, gardeners must think about feeding microbes directly, supporting fungi, building long-term microbial housing, and integrating living compost systems like cover crops. These practices transform soil into more than a medium for plants. They make it a thriving ecosystem capable of withstanding modern challenges. If this guide inspired you to think differently about composting and soil life, make sure to subscribe to Hydrohaven and share this resource with fellow gardeners. Together, we can move beyond the limits of compost and embrace the smarter methods that will keep our soils thriving for generations.